Yo, welcome to Win Your Life Fitness, right? And in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about why identity shift is the first rep of transformation. So, I want to break something down that most people never talk about when it comes to their transformation. Before your body changes, your identity has to change first. You could have the best meal plan, the best workout split, shit, even the best coach in the entire world. But if you do not change how you see yourself, it will not stick. Remember that scene from Kung Fu Panda where Po finally opens the Dragon Scroll and it's just completely blank? He's super confused. Everyone thought that the scroll held some type of magic secret, some type of magic power, but it was empty. Then that's when Poe realizes something super powerful, that there is no secret, okay? The power was in him the entire time. He just had to believe it. He just had to believe in himself. And that's exactly how identity works in fitness. Everyone's chasing the secret, the perfect workout, the perfect meal plan, some magic fix, some magic pill to get the body that they want. But the truth is, just like the Dragon Scroll, there is no fucking secret. Until you believe you're the person who shows up, who follows through, who respects their body, no program will ever stick. Not even mine. Because transformation doesn't start with action, it starts with identity. The real problem. So, the real issue is that most people are obsessed with the physical side of fitness, the workouts, the macros, the supplements, all of that bullshit. But they never ask themselves the deeper question: why, not why, who do I need to become? The truth is, we don't live in the physical reality. We live in our head, in the mental and spiritual plane. We believe in our in our beliefs, in our emotions, and you could take all the action you want, but if your self image does not change, you will always snap back to that old version of yourself. And that's why people, when they lose weight, they gain it all back. Or when they gain muscle, they lose it all because they still believe they're that fat or skinny, lazy version of themselves, or the version of themselves who just quits when it gets hard. And your subconscious will always fight to stay consistent with who you believe you are. Self image equals results. For me, the shift didn't happen when I changed my workout or my meal plan or my coach or whatever. It happened when I changed how I saw myself. When I started believing I was a type of man who takes care of his body, who shows up with discipline, who finishes things whenever he starts. And that's when everything started to click. Going to the gym became part of who I was. Eating clean didn't feel like such a chore, like such a drag. It felt like I was finally doing what I was meant to be doing. It wasn't just like a phase. Like it wasn't just a little thing that I did for 2 to 3 weeks and I got back to my regular self. No, it became my identity. It became it became who I believed I was, right? Setting old beliefs. But to make that shift, I had to let go of a lot of the old beliefs that I had. I'm chubby, losing weight is hard, I'm just naturally a big guy. And I used to repeat these things to myself over and over. And they weren't just any regular thoughts. These were the chains that held me down. And the moment that I said, that is not me anymore, that's when real change started to happen. Sabotage and stories, right? I used to sabotage myself without even knowing it because deep down, I believe what I saw in the mirror. I believe the names people called me. Whenever people called me fat, whenever people called me lazy, whenever people gave me all the leftovers, etc. My brain just kept proving those beliefs true, finding evidence to confirm them. But everything changed when I stopped asking, is this true? And I started asking, who do I want to become? And that was the shift. That was the power. That's what gave me my life back. Stuck habits equals stuck identity. Back then, I was stuck in habits that kept reinforcing one thing. I am undisciplined. I am not good enough. I'll never change. Binging when I was bored. Skipping the gym. Never going to the grocery store and going grocery shopping. Eating all the leftovers. Eating everything that was put in front of me. And each time I did one of those things, I casted another vote for that identity. And if your actions say that you're that guy long enough, you will believe it. You are just going to be constantly reinforcing who you believe you are based off the actions that you take. So, becoming him early. So, how did I flip that switch? Right? I started acting like the version of me that I wanted to become before the results even showed up, right? I believed I was already him before I had the six pack, before I had the jawline, before I had the muscles, right? I would always tell myself I am a naturally fit person. I love eating clean. I love going to the gym. I love training. And at first, obviously, it felt like a lie because my eyes would deceive me. But you're not supposed to believe what your eyes show you, okay? I just kept showing up. And every time I asked, what would the best version of Arthur do right now? And actually did it, I took a step closer to becoming the man that I wanted to be, plus seeing the results with my eyes finally. Eventually, I didn't have to keep asking, what would the best version of Arthur do? Eventually, I was already him. I was already there, right? It just took a couple steps and time. This is not instantaneous. This takes time. And that's what most people forget. Everyone is so accustomed to seeing results like this, like this, like this, because we live in such a world that is heavily consumerized, right? We have Amazon. We order something on Amazon. Next thing you know, it gets here within a couple hours, if you're lucky. But that's not how your body works. That's not how your beliefs work. That's not how you work. Good things take time. And this is why fat loss doesn't stick, right? Because they're trying to change their body, but they're still holding on to that old identity. And that identity is on autopilot. And for the most part, it was never designed by you anyway, it was given to you, right? It's an operating system. You could override it with willpower for a bit, for a little, but eventually the system wins unless you rewrite the root of the program, right? You're not going to fix a computer just by looking at it and like just bashing it in. You actually have to go inside the program, inside the computer, and fix it from the inside out. And the same thing applies to yourself. From losing weight to winning life. When I stopped chasing fat loss and started chasing integrity, identity, that's when I started to win life. It wasn't about the abs, it was about becoming the man I respected, the kind of man that aligns his actions with his vision. And that kind of transformation, that is permanent. That is not something that will go away from you because you have officially become someone new. I want you to think of it as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. They're two different animals, but basically they're the same, right? Because one transforms to the other, right? In order to become who you were meant to be, you must let go of who you once were. Okay? Identity equals energy. Once I made that shift, I stopped dragging myself through life. There was no more negotiating with myself. I had a standard, I had clarity. And when you know who you are, the right actions become automatic because anything less doesn't feel right. So, everyone says that they aren't consistent, or everyone thinks that they have complete control over life. Truth is, you are consistent, right? You tend to do the same things every single day, right? You may think you're not, but The reality is you're consistent in things that aren't working for your benefit. If you were just to switch things up, if you were to become consistent on the things that actually benefit you, that actually work for you, imagine life then. Imagine living on autopilot with doing all the habits, all the identity changes that correlate to the life that you want to live. That is when everything becomes easier. Identity is the root. Okay. So if identity is the root, how can you expect long term change by only treating the leaves? You could do all the surface stuff, gym, macros, routines. But if the root is poisoned by doubt, fear, or shame, it won't last. This is why identity is the first rep. You must change who you are, and everything else will follow. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.